Meanwhile, the groundswell of Democrats and donors suggesting President Joe Biden should step aside may be having an impact.
That's right. Sources close to private briefings and conversations are indicating that the president, Joe Biden, is growing receptive to the idea of bowing out of the race. Joining us now is Facing South Florida host Jim DeFede. And Jim, do we really expect Joe Biden to step aside? We've talked about this a few times already, and you've said it's up to him, and he says he's not going to do it.
Yeah, I think Joe Biden's candidacy is all but over. I do think that, and it's over whether or not he formally steps aside or not. I mean, the number of Democrats is only going to grow who are going to call for him to step aside. I'm told from my sources, who I've been speaking to throughout the day, that if Joe Biden doesn't sort of exit the race or say he's leaving the race by the beginning of the week, then you will see possibly a letter being circulated among House Democrats in which 100 or more may sign on, calling on him to step aside. Look, it's impossible for this to continue the way this is right now. I think that, you have the meetings that you have had with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leaders in the House and Senate, who have met with him. They tried to implore him privately to step aside. He was resistant to that. They then leaked their meetings, and that's how that came out. Nancy Pelosi tried to implore him to step aside. They could not win this race, and they're very good at keeping those things secret until they realized that Joe Biden was resistant, and so that meeting got leaked. None of those people are denying the contents of the reporting around those meetings, and this is just going to continue to grow. He has lost the Democratic Party. This is not fixable for him. The problem is that you've got a candidate who the public believes cannot continue, will not be able to make it through 4 more years, let alone be able to make the case, and that is irreversible.
And Jim, logistically, though, what would that look like? Democrats have their own convention coming up next month. We talked about the fact that they're up against the clock. They're actually doing their roll call virtually to meet certain deadlines. So how do they get a possible other candidate and a VP pick all in a row in time for this convention?
So August 1st is the critical date. August 1st is the date in which that virtual roll call vote is scheduled to take place. Right now, we always talk about Joe Biden as the presumptive nominee. Legally, he does not become the nominee until that roll call vote on August 1st. Once that roll call vote takes place, then he is the nominee, and that becomes a little trickier for him to step aside. So what would happen is, between now and then, he would simply release his delegates. He would say, I have decided to step aside for the good of the party. I have done what I wanted to do. I defeated Donald Trump in 20. I'm ready to move on. The next generation is going to come in. And then the decision that he will make is, does he turn it over and say, and I release my delegates and urge them to support Kamala Harris, or does he throw open to an open convention, which would be a little bit more chaotic? That's not what anyone would expect. So that's the way it would do. It's actually very simple once Joe Biden gets to the mental place in his head, and a lot of this has to do with just the relinquishing of power. And it is hard for someone to do that. And Joe Biden has been someone who always believes that in the worst of times, he can come back. There's no coming back from where he is now.
You can't fight time and aging, and that's what a lot of people are seeing here. Jim, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.